next up is David Figgley. Please, I hope I did your name right there, David. Please put me down as in favor of the bond referendum be placed on the November ballot and consideration of the Cape Carteret Trail. My wife signed on to a list of the gyms in favor of the referendum as well. Thanks, and hope you're well, and I'd like to be back on the functioning soon. And next up is John Ritchie. John Ritchie writes, I'm going to read most of this. Due to take care of 2 aging mothers, I'll not be able to attend your public meeting. The reason for this letter to you as the whole town board and my fellow citizens of Cape Carteret is very simple. I support the trail. That being said, I guess why I support the trail is even more important. As planning board chairman, I'm seeing a huge amount of growth for our wonderful town. We were warned last October that when the Highway 42 was completed, our area would see rapid growth between 15 and 30% a year for the following 15 to 20 years. Much like that was expected in small towns around Wilmington when 40 was completed. Hampstead is a good example. Same funny man that gave possession in October, I saw in early May, his comments about took my breath away. The comment at the time that huge growth is now 18 to 24 months away or even sooner. As a home builder, since the virus hit, my phone has been ringing off the hook. Today, I've met with over 30 different possible customers to build new homes in Western Carteret County. The reason? Our quality of life, our school system, the boat sound, the White Oak River, and we're the closeness to God's biggest swimming hole, the Atlantic Ocean. My question is, are we ready? No. My biggest concerns are simple. We as a town are experiencing unprecedented home building, but looking at the bigger picture for neighbors across the bridge to our east, north, and west is even more unprecedented. Cedar Point has approximately 2 subdivisions they are considering 80 home sites and 60 home sites. Belvedere, Stella, both clean home starts grow 2. New homes averaging 2.2 cars, 2.8. We are not so prepared, not to mention what the other town's budgets and security offerings are. Nothing close to Cape Carteret. We need the trail for so many reasons. Children able to ride bikes safely, parents walking for family time and health reasons. For all our citizens, what will the trail add to the citizens' home value? 20, 30,000, or even more. The tax rate for the trail is going up 2 cents. What the officials need to do what is best. Our town will have a lot in common with it was the base of the EI Bridge for the 2-lane road intersection of 24 and 50 flashed from Labor Day to Memorial Day 30 years ago. We can stick our heads in the sand and pretend we know everything, but that is excuse coming to us in the end. Work for our town's future, our children and grandchildren's future, and stop thinking you control us because you can. I will leave you with 2 small towns. I'm sorry, we'll leave you 2 small towns. It used to be like us, Hampstead and Harderville. I'm sorry. Look at them now. Do the correct thing for our town's future. And let's see. Next is I have 2 more. We're getting to the end, Joe. This is a letter from Ron Woodard. The purpose of the correspondence request your support in soundly defeating any action that comes before Cape Carteret Board of Commissioners regarding any further work on the old partial walking path. Portions of Cape Carteret construction of this path was a very poor idea initially due to safety concerns and future work at taxpayers' expense. Increasing traffic patterns on 24 and 58 and Talbot Ocean Road should defeat any notion that further work on the path is warranted even at no cost to the taxpayer. Do not look forward to saying I told you so if more work on the path results in serious harm or death to Cape Carteret citizens. And the last letter I have, handwritten, so this is from Larry Herman. Larry, I apologize if I mispronounce anything. I have a question and a comment. Question, what impact would this referendum have on the average taxpayer? Commissioners probably have some idea. Comment, it would be nice to have some amenities here in Cape Carteret. Right now, one can get a smoothie, such, and sit with cars driving by 10 or 12 feet away, overlooking something parking lot with no shade. The trail plan was to have some park areas, shaded picnic areas, etc., in addition to the hike, bike, walk itself. I'm in favor of the referendum and for completion of the trail. And that was Larry Herman. And let me see if I had one more. I just got to consent. This is from Joe Moore, 113 Boat Sound. I do not approve of any tax increase, especially for a walking trail during this crisis. Too many people are struggling to make ends meet as it is without increasing their burden. That's Joe Moore, and that is all I have, unless any of the commissioners have any other correspondence that I did not mention that they would like to read. I will now let them have the opportunity to do so. Do you want to say something about it?
I've received several emails, but every single one of them you already covered.
Okay. Mr. Waters?
I just received one that says, "Hi Jeff, hope this gets to you in time for the meeting. For me and Tony, I think the increase would be better spent on repairs and stormwater management at this time. As an example, we have a washout or a bucket 5 halfway to the approach that needs to be fixed ASAP. Bruce and Tony Hedren, 121 Boat Sound.
Any other commissioners have any correspondence from anybody that we did not cover that you would like to read? I'll just ask everybody. Jim, did you have any?
Yeah, I don't have anything that you haven't already read. The only thing additional I have is comments I've had while out walking the dog. Folks that I've passed, folks that have passed me, folks that have stopped their cars to talk to me, universally against the bond. But nothing in writing.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Okay. Commissioner King?
Yes, I felt that many of the people misunderstood what this agenda item was. They were talking about whether they're in favor of the trail or not in favor of the trail. And basically what this action is tonight is to put this to a referendum where the commissioners no longer make the decision on it, but it's put into the people to make this decision. Now, I'm fine with all of the feedback that we've got, but that's really what the purpose of this is, to put it on the ballot and then the people decide it. And then after it's decided in November, then there'll be all kinds of talk on how we finish this thing and what we do to finish it or end it. That's all.
Mayor, Mayor, can I inject something here since Commissioner King brought this up? I've encountered the same problem, people not understanding exactly what this is about. It's about public comment only, and the fact that we want to get it on the trail for the citizens to have a say so. So I want to echo what Commissioner King said. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Jimmy went from Lauren Birch.
I thought I did.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, I read that. Yeah. I just want to make sure that, whoever did comment, send emails, follow the procedures, has had their voice heard, everybody online. And I think we've done that. So if there are no objections, then I will seek a motion to go out of the public hearing and back to our regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, David. All in favor, I'll do a roll call vote once again. Commissioner Naylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
And Commissioner Waters?
Yes.
All right, so with that, we've ended the public comment section. And just to let everybody know, we still have to wait 2 days for any other input that comes in, and then we'll have another meeting, which will be the actual vote to solidify all this on the 13th, which is 8/13. So we'll all be back here going over it one more time, and that's the joys of all the virtual stuff we're doing, having to sort of make sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. Okay, so with that, we're back to the regular agenda, which would be the staff updates. That
All right, and if I could just add and echo what Mayor Baker just said, so there's a 24-hour public comment period following this meeting this evening where additional comments can be submitted by emailing Sherry Hancock, the town clerk, and that's shancock@capecarteret.org. So there's a 24-hour window to get those comments in. And then, as the mayor mentioned, we'll have the follow-up meeting where the board will take the vote on August 13th at 6 p.m. So getting into the staff comments, a couple things that I want to run through. I've been working with John Freshwater on a variety of different stormwater projects throughout the town, so we're making some progress on those. One of those being over in Star Hill. Also have another project over on Boguestown Drive where the washout occurred. And there's a couple other spots in town that we're looking at as well. But just a status update, the Public Works Department started on the stormwater pipe repair on that pipe that runs underneath Yopon Drive. They're replacing the last segment of that pipe, and they anticipate that'll be completed tomorrow. And then the next project will be tackling Boguestown Drive. We're waiting on some finalization on the engineering for that from John Freshwater. We have a follow-up meeting with him on Thursday where we're going to discuss that. So just a quick update on the stormwater. Watching an area for potential tropical development in the Atlantic. That's got, I believe, a 60% chance of development in the next 48 hours, at least the last update that I saw. Wanted to mention on behalf of Sandy that the annual PAL bill reports have been completed and submitted. Wanted to take a moment to recognize Lowe's Home Improvement as well as KB Power. They got out here before the storm and got everything finalized so that Town Hall had the generator up and running and in good working condition for the storm that we had this past week. So really thankful for them for making the effort and coming out here and getting all that squared away. And then finally, I also want to recognize Robert Tyndall, who retired with Lowe's here in Cape Carteret. Just want to speak to what a great community partner he has been, and we're really fortunate to have worked with him. He really did a lot of great things for the town. So just want to thank Robert Tyndall, thank him for his service to the town, everything he did, and just want to express our appreciation that he's always been a great guy to work with and really had the best interests of the town at heart. So I wish him well in retirement and congratulate him on his retirement and thank him for his contributions to the town. So that's everything I have for my report this evening.
All right, yeah, absolutely. Want to say thank you to Mr. Tyndall. Man, what a great guy. Lowe's has been an awesome business partner for this town. They've done so much for us. All right, next up on the agenda is the selection of contractors for Pettiford Creek Launch Facility.
All right, I'm gonna switch back over and share my screen. All righty, can everybody see that?
Yes.
See the memo? Okay. All right, so the town of Cape Carteret has been working over the past several months to secure quotes for the Pettiford Creek Launch Facility project. Based on the quotes received, the following contractor selections are recommended to complete the project. The different quotes for the construction of the docking and walkway area are shown on the screen there. So we have TD Ure, and I break these into two different options based off of the prices they provided for. So TD Ure came in at $82,081.25 under option number 1, which would be the ADA accessible concrete hog slat, ADA accessible gangway ramp, and ADA accessible kayak launch. Option 2, which would just be putting in all ADA concrete hog slat walkways and platforms, was $64,500 531.25. Harbor Contracting came in at 49,870 for option 1, and 50,150 for option 2. Norris Marine Construction was at 87,450 for option 1, and 61,950 for option 2. Based on the proposals received from the contractors, town staff recommend selecting Harbor Contracting Incorporated as the contractor to complete the installation of the ADA accessible walkways and launches for the Pettiford Creek Launch Facility project. And then we go on to the construction of the right turn lane and parking area. The 3 bid amounts are shown there on the screen. Onzo Grading and Paving at $79,085.40. Able Asphalt and Paving, $45,000, and TD Ure at $81,400. Based on the bids received, town staff recommend selecting Able Asphalt and Paving to construct the right turn lane, driveway, and parking lot for the Pettiford Creek Launch Facility. So, in the FY 1920 budget, the town included $22,501 to cover the site improvements. However, we're still in the process of getting RFPs, and so we were unable to get started on this project in the prior fiscal year. So that money rolled back into the undesignated fund balance. The table below shows a breakdown of the project expenses. So docking, and this is if we go with the lowest contractor on here. So docking and walkway construction, $49,870. Turn lane, parking lot, and driveway construction would be $45,000. Site work and stormwater installation would be $10,000. Surveying and engineering, $4,700. Permits and fees, $1,463. And the project total will come out to $111,033. The process for receiving grant funds for the site improvements grant is for the town to expend the funds for the project and then to request reimbursement from the state of North Carolina. Based on the current project total of $111,033, the town would receive $83,274.75 in grant funds for the project and expend $27,758.25 in town funds for the project. So in order to cover the total project cost, a budget amendment would be needed to increase the line item 65.918 in the Parks and Recreation Department budget to $111,033. This would bring the Parks and Recreation budget total to $137,223. So the requested actions are for the Board of Commissioners to consider approving Budget Amendment 2020.2021.1. The Board of Commissioners are also asked to consider selecting Harbor Contracting to construct the docks, walkways, and launches for the Pettiford Creek Launch Facility, and to authorize the town manager in consultation with the town attorney to enter into a contract with Harbor Contracting. Then the board is also asked to consider selecting Able Asphalt and Paving as the contractor to construct the right turn lane, the driveway, and the parking area for the Pettiford Creek Launch Facility. So I know that would be 3 different motions there for each of those items, to do those as separate motions. The urgency on this is that our current contract for the grant expires in September, and we have to give 30 days notice to CAMA to request an extension, and we also need to get this updated project amount finalized. So I think it's a really great project. You know, our portion is pretty insignificant compared to what we're going to receive in the state grant funds. So we're looking at just the $27,758.25 is what comes out of our money at the end of the day, and then the state contributes that $83,274.75. But I'll run through and show got the RFPs here, and
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Zach, I hate to stop. Our screen says that we're experiencing trouble, so I want to make sure that everything's still good with everybody else. Can everybody else still hear you?
King, yes.
Yes.
All right, just our screen. Okay, we can hear you. We just can't see it. Just want to make sure everybody else is still there.
Okay.
Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
That's all good. I'll run in there in just a moment. Let me pull this up. So got the different.
We can hear it.
And basically on the screen now, when I get to it, You can see the two different launches. So you'll have the turn lane that comes off of Highway 58, the driveway, parking area, and then the walkway that extends out. There will be a walkway and a launch there at the shallower, closer portion of water, and then one further out at the deeper portion. So based on the tide, people have an option of which one they go to. And this will also kind of be a wildlife observation area there at the end. So project we're really excited to see come to fruition, something that's been in the works for a while. So hopefully we can get all this moving forward and be able to notify CAMA and ensure that we get those grant funds. So I'll go back to the memo where it's got the motions on there. And then I'm gonna run in the boardroom real quick.
Okay, all right. Well, with that, I will start with the first one, and which is looking for a motion to approve the budget amendment 2021.1.
I'll make that motion to adopt the budget amendment as written.
Okay. Well, do I have a second?
King second.
All right, with that, we'll have discussion, gentlemen.
Who do you want to start with?
Well, if you'd like to start, Mike, you go right ahead.
Okay. I think this is an absolutely. There's not going to be anything like this around here, where you can, and that little finger that is shallow at low tide can easily be dredged by one of those long-armed excavators, so that you could choose either one. You could drag your kayak to the one that's right close, or walk down to the other one. Looks like be more like an observation deck. But it's a great project to allow people to get up into the Croatan without the effects of wind, because the water sets down below the marsh grass, and they'll be able to take kayaks right up into a primitive environment. And there's not many people around there that's that close to the Croatan that can do this. And I think the town manager has done an absolutely tremendous job in getting all this grant funds, and for the very low price that we're paying for this, it would be just a great addition to our town. That's all, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Jim? I'll just call your names out. Jim, you got any comments?
No comments.
Mr. Martin?
Yes, I think we were very fortunate to find a property that offered what this property does, and it's been a long time coming, a long drawn out process, as most everything is in government. This property provides not only a kayak facility, but a wildlife viewing area also, and two separate launch points, as Zach pointed out. And I got to tell you, Zach deserves a lot of credit for the efforts he's put into this facility and obtaining these grants. This is not an easy task. This man has spent countless hours on this project. I think it's a huge boost to our town. As Commissioner King noted, the access to the Croatan. I've been up there personally in a boat. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Also, I envision a business coming to town to cater to these kayakers. So I'm thrilled that we're finally reaching hopefully to reach the end of this project and see it built. I'm very, very excited, and I've had nothing but positive reviews from everyone that I've spoken to about this project. Zach, thank you so much for all your hard work on this, man. I know you've really went above and beyond the call of duty on this, and it's been well received by the public. Thank you.
Mr. Waters? No comment. Okay. Don?
No comment.
No comment. All right, then we'll call for a vote, and I'll just do a roll call once again. We'll start with Commissioner Martin. Are in favor?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Commissioner Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Waters,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. We got two more to do. So now I'm gonna look for a motion to, hang on, so I'm looking for the under contract with Harbor Contracting for the docks, walkways, and launches for Bedford Creek.
I'll make that motion to select Harbor Contracting for the decking portion of the project.
Have a second?
Second, King.
Mr. King? All right, any discussion? Anybody want to say anything?
Yes.
Don?
I want to ask town manager and the other commissioners, I mean, is anybody familiar with Harbor Contracting? And the reason I'm asking that is, yeah, I'm all about saving money, but I'm just looking at the quotes that were given. For instance, on option one, where TD Euro had 82,000, Norris 87,000, pretty close numbers. And then the one we're going with is 49,000, like 30,000 cheaper. And the same thing with option two. It was 64 and 61 from the other two, where this one was 50. And like I said, I'm all about saving money, but is anybody at all familiar with who we're selecting here to do this? That's quite a big difference in the numbers that were quoted in the bid.
I know who they are.
Mayor, may I speak? This is King.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Harbor Contracting, and I'll tell you something. Historically, they have not been a low bidder on many of the projects around here, and gotten beaten out by Norris at times and different people. But I have looked at some of the dock work they do, a number of docks that they've done when I was having my dock done, and they actually bid on it, and they were outbid by other people. But I saw nothing wrong with the quality of the work that he did. He just happened to be on many bids that we've had in the past, and my personal experience is he was higher than others. And that is why you have in this thing a bidding process, because you never know who really needs and wants the work to keep their staff on. And this just may be what's happening here. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner Nails, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Commissioner Martin?
None.
Mr. Waters?
Yes.
All right, with that, we'll put it to a vote. Now I'll just do the roll call again. Commissioner Martin, are you in favor?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Commissioner Nails?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
And Commissioner Waters?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-0. And now for the third one, I'm looking for a motion to accept Able Asphalt and Paving as the contractor for the right turn lane, driveway, and parking areas for the Bedford Creek launch facility.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Mr. Miller made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Nail seconds. And I'll just go through, and anybody have any comments? I'll start with you, Don.
None.
Mr. Waters? Commissioner Nailitz?
No.
Commissioner Martin?
None, thank you.
And Commissioner King?
No comment.
All right, then, we'll put it to a vote. We'll start with Commissioner Waters this time. Are you better?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Nails?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
And Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
All right, that passes 5-0. And now on to the next, which is the dredging project discussion. Back, and we have guest Rudy Rudolph here.
Yes, sir. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Rudy.
Rudy, I just want to say, I think you've done an awesome job on this dredging project, man. It's some great work. I know you put a lot into it. I really appreciate you and the county and all the efforts you put into that.
Great, thank you.
All right, so I'll
After
go.
that, you want to start something?
Yeah. So Carteret County's been working to secure permits and funding for a large-scale dredging project in the waterways throughout Cape Carteret. The project is expected to improve navigation in the waterways, to have a positive impact on property values, and to enhance recreational water access in our community. The map on the screen there shows the different sections that permits will be secured for associated with this project. Based on the discussions with the county, the permitted sections of the project that would be addressed first are the Old Ferry Channel, Deer Creek Connector, and Deer Creek Main South. If a grant from the state is awarded for this section, the grant would cover 2/3 of the project cost, leaving a 1/3 local cost share for the project. The county has placed a $42 million bond for the county schools on the November ballot, as well as a 1/4-cent sales tax. If the county-wide 1/4-cent sales tax that is on the ballot in November passes, then the funds generated would provide an excellent funding source to cover the 1/3 local match component of this project. There is discussion about adding Deer Creek Main West, the Deer Creek Main West segment to the proposed project scope. Representatives from the county have suggested that the town consider reaching out to the property owners along this segment and dividing the cost evenly among participating property owners. This may or may not require a financial contribution from the town to make dredging this section feasible. If the town takes action to organize property owners and collect funds necessary to dredge this segment, then the town may want to consider establishing a process for how each body of water in Cape Carteret is evaluated and prioritized. The town may also wish to establish a percentage amount that the town would be willing to contribute for dredging each segment. The town may also want to establish a minimum participation percentage rate to ensure that there is adequate financial support for a project. The requested action is for the Board of Commissioners to consider whether they would like town staff to establish a process for addressing the dredging of each canal or finger of water in Cape Carteret. And the Board of Commissioners are also asked whether town staff should reach out to property owners along Deer Creek Main West to gauge interest in participating in the costs associated with the project. And I'll put that map back up on the screen. Got it on another slide. This breaks down the cubic yards as well as like the cost estimate for each of these segments. What I'm mentioning in terms of a participation rate, as one thing we might want to consider would be if you had, say, 30 property owners along a finger of water, and you set a participation rate at 50%, you'd want to see at least 15 of the property owners who commit to paying their fair share of the dredging cost. And that could be one of the methodology that's established if the town is going to take on these individual finger canals. And then in terms of prioritization, that's going to be another consideration is, how does the town prioritize which projects get addressed? And then looking at how much is the town willing to contribute in terms of percentage? And is that participation contingent on the county partnering on half of a third? And then the town paying, half of that portion and splitting the other half with the property owners, like was suggested earlier. So just really looking for some direction on how to proceed. I didn't want to reach out to the property owners until we had an opportunity for everybody to discuss and get brought into the loop on the project, just to make sure we're all on the same page of what's being discussed. And obviously, if we do one finger of water or one canal, there's going to be an expectation for the other property owners on other canals and fingers of water. They're going to want to see the town participate on those as well. So just another consideration and reason why I wanted to bring it up for discussion and just get some direction from the board. And if I know Rudy's on the call, Rudy, if you want to add anything about the project or the process or any other pertinent information, feel free to chime in, or if the board has questions, they might also ask those of you in a moment.
Sure, Zach. Can I take over the screen for a second?
Yeah, let me make you a presenter. All right.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Give me a second here and I should be able to. Oh. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see it, Rudy.
Okay, good. I just wanted to reiterate that, this slide here is sort of what is going to be, permitted, but not all that needs to be dredged, and we all talked about that. Obviously, we surveyed this whole entire area, and I took the sediment samples to figure out what was mud and what was sand. We also secured the disposal sites as well. So just for the audience and board, so these are the reaches that we determined really needed to be addressed out of that whole entire permitting zone. So what you're looking at here is quote unquote the project, and is sort of what's sort of being discussed is the kind of Deer Creek area around here. That's sort of the option. Where the project stands now, we are expecting the permit to be secured in late October, and we can go out to bid then in November. We have until April 1st, I believe, to complete the project. And here's that chart that Zach was talking about, with all the reaches and the cubic yardage costs and stuff like that. And I think that an important part about this is that the state does have a two-thirds matching program, and so we're in the process of going ahead and applying for that grant, which is based off of these numbers. So again, this is what I would call a grant budget, if you will, and hopefully the dredging prices are coming lower.
All right, thank you, Rudy, and I just want to thank Rudy and the county for their efforts on this so far. They've really put in a lot of legwork and effort into getting these permits done, and really appreciate everything they've done so far.
I have a question for Rudy, as far as these fingers we're talking about. Now, is that part of the permitting process? In other words, we can permit that, but if they decide not to go with it, we just don't have to do that. Would that be a correct statement?
Yeah, I mean, when we get the permit at the end of October, it will give us the ability to dredge what you see here, every nook and cranny. But obviously, we're not going to do that. But we would have the permit authority to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Because, the last thing you want to do is to get a permit and then, add on to it. So we went big and then, narrowed it.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I just want to confirm that in case anybody didn't know.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions, Rudy, while we got them online?
Yeah, Rudy, I forgot what you had told us. How long were these permits good for?
Oh, I would have to go back and check. It'll be for a couple of years.
And you have the option of renewing them, is that correct? Or?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And also modifying them too. Now, like if we wanted to go into maybe a channel that wasn't depicted here, but is pretty close, and I don't want to do a bunch of what ifs, we could modify the permit. Now we may need to do some more work, some more coring and surveying, but at least we would have a permit to point to that, we can modify.
Okay, and the grant that you applied for, correct me, refresh my memory. The grant that you are applying for,
Mm-hmm.
Is for the actual areas, depth, width, and whatnot, and cubic yards that you've notated on the previous chart. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
There's no varying from that. Is that correct? That you don't have that leniency from the state and county to deviate from that at all?
Well, once we are basing the grant number based on our kind of narrowing down of where to dredge. So that's kind of how we develop a grant number. If we change the project scope, then we would have to change the grant number, and I think that kind of horse has sort of left the barn.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that nothing's changed since we talked last time.
Yeah, and to be honest, so what we're going to ask, just to make the numbers round, we're going to ask for $1 million state reimbursement and $500,000 non-state cost. And again, that includes all the areas I showed you, plus the potential of adding that Deer Creek component.
Okay, thank you, Rudy. Mayor, I'll have some more to say later on and after Rudy's question and answer period is over. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
This is Jim Nalitz. I've got one question on the volumes. I noticed that going from your original volumes to the new volumes, there's been a reduction. And the thing that especially was Deer Creek North, which went from 5244 to 1,800 cubic yards.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because you're going to do a different portion of it, smaller portion of Deer Creek, or a different depth, or what causes that kind of a change?
Yeah, so we looked at the bathymetry maps in real a detail, and in some of the places, like for instance the old ferry channel, you could dredge a ton out there if you wanted to get every nook and cranny, but we all know the hot spot is that big shoal right around here. So that was the type of machinations that we did. So again, you could see the project depths are there. So again, we went to the high spots and the speed bumps and looked at that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So as I was saying, just so look at the old ferry channel itself. It went from that volume to that volume, and that's the zone that's addressing all the major speed bumps out there.
Mike, you got any questions, Rudy?
Rudy, who oversees the actual dredging, the daily dredging? Who oversees that to make sure that they're doing the dredging?
Yeah, so our both the county and especially our what's called engineers at Moffitt and Nickel, and all these costs include the engineering. And just to go over it, so they'll do a survey before the dredge gets here, and when the dredge leaves or leaves the zone, they'll do another survey, and the difference in that volume is the pay volume, as long as they're hitting a template, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Trying to get Mike, because I can't see Mike, but Mike, do you have any questions for Rudy?
Yeah, put up the chart where you showed the revised, where you're taking the cubic yardage out of the pictorial. No, the graphic.
Not this one, but that one.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. I'm out there all the time with a 2.5-foot draft sailboat, and especially around Deer Creek, the connector channel, and the south of Deer Creek. The only comment I would make is that if you move that little short section right next to your arrow, that's definitely need to be done. That section that's farther to the north isn't nearly as bad, but there's a little section right out of the last two buoys before you get into the waterway that has shoaled up much more than the other. It's very, very close to that first section, closest to the waterway, shown in red on your chart there. So I could get with you, Rudy, but you've got the right areas that go through there. On the Deer Creek Connector Channel, the shallowest portion is just right there. So I think you got it, but you know, we've got pretty good draft, and all of the types of boats that we have using this thing can get through, except at the low tides, and that's what the dredging will fix.
That's right.
That's what the dredging will fix. And out at the blue section in front of Mrs. Holtz's house, right there, the most critical part is right where your arrow is. Okay, that is shoaled up pretty well. I got to take my center board up every time I go through there. But coming out, once you get around the bend 90 degrees and get into that's pretty. It could be dug out a little bit, but it's not a whole lot of yardage has to come out of there. So I think from the original scope to the new scope that you put in there is a great improvement, saving a lot of money.
Sure. And, you know, also too, to talk about why are the depths, you know, difference in the reaches. And again, we're sort of trying to mimic what's sort of native. So it's like naturally deep, like here and here to 6 feet or even deeper. Where, so, we didn't want just to dredge this then to 4. We wanted to keep it at least, 6 feet going all the way through. So that was the logic why you're seeing a different design depths.
Yeah.
Any other? Yeah.
What do you got, Mo? All right, Mr. Waters, you got any questions for Rudy?
No question.
Commissioner Miller?
No.
All right, thank you, Rudy. I did have some feedback on the dredging. It was all in favor of it.
Okay, good.
Good wrote a letter talking about they're willing to pony up and take off work. And she was also wanting to put her support toward this. So I guess the thing now is the discussion of, do we want to reach out to these homeowners and see if they're willing to participate. So Rudy, a question for you. What were the numbers as far as those fingers that it would cost to add those? The total, and I guess then we split it 30-some thousand, was it?
I'm not quite under. Is that what you're looking for? Is that the total?
I think so. Because we're to add the ones that the county's not going to do, in other words, unless we pay for it.
Yeah, that's the only one. Again, that's the only one that we're really looking at.
Okay.
Is that a Deer, a creek one?
The Deer Creek North.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I guess we need to have a motion. Do we want the town manager to reach out to these homeowners first and see if they're interested in fishing? Tax funds, or how do we want?
I would make that motion for to begin reaching out to homeowners.
Okay, so we have a motion for the town manager to reach out to the homeowners. We have a second from Mr. Waters. Any more discussion on that?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my issue, other than the Ferry Channel, the Deer Creek Connector Channel, and South Deer Creek, I think that should be the project. if we get into any of the other areas, we got, depending on how you want to count them, anywhere from 5 to 7 canals in here. We got Rocky Run Creek or Schoolhouse Creek. We've got all of these areas that if we do one, people on any one of these other creeks would be entitled to the same type of a benefit. And I have great difficulty in funding one section of a project and not offering that same thing to the other ones. Number two, if you when you go onto a creek and or a waterway and try to get people to volunteer, what you'll end up with, like for example on Deer Creek North, there's 34 properties that border that could that would have water access. You go on there and you will not get 34 people willing to participate. So then you get, I just think you're opening a can of worms. The county has got a great project to dredge the main channels that 95% of the people have to use, one or the other. And I think going into these other areas is opening a can of worms that we wouldn't be able to deal with.
All right. Commissioner Martin, you have any comments?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. We're fooling ourselves if we think that any project that we adopt or start in this town is going to benefit every citizen. I'll say that through no fault of the town especially, or the residents along Deer Creek, the pond project along Highway 24 failed, causing sediment to flow into Deer Creek and turn it into basically a silt basin. This is more environmental issue to me than it is dredging someone's waterfront property to enhance the value of that property. Our waterways, to me, are the most single important public resource that we have, and caring for them should be top priority. No one asked for that pond to fail, but it did. The residents along Deer Creek, I think we have to make an exception and help our neighbors when we can. This is an opportune time, since the county and the state has offered to pony up all this money, and the residents along Deer Creek have offered to have skin in the game. It's in my mind, it's the right thing to do. You know, the water up there is stagnant. It's not moving. It's an environmental catastrophe, for lack of a better word, in my mind. I'm an avid fisherman, outdoorsman, have been fishing these waters since 1974. It's a shame that for the last 2 years that creek, what used to be a pristine body of water, has turned into nothing but a silt net. I'm all in support of a one-time aid to dredging that section up there. And I think the other people in the other fingers have to realize, understand that their canals were not compromised like this one was. And I think it's the least that we can do in the name of public trust waters and maintaining those. You know, it's our job as stewards of the water to take care of this water. It's a precious resource for our whole town. Our town is a waterfront community, and we need to do what we can to benefit that. As far as reaching out to all the other waterfront property owners, I think, you know, it's like I said to start, there's no project in this town that we do that benefits the entire population. So I would ask them to understand that this Deer Creek is they didn't ask for this sediment to be dumped into their waters in front of their home. So I'm all for helping them out as a one-time project And I think that's all I've got. Thank you.
Commissioner Nails?
There's a timing problem here. And that is, if we went right now and dredged Deer Creek right up to Yopon, it would just fill it back up again until that dam is repaired. I understand that, or be given to understand that DOT has engineered the repair of that dam, but until it's fixed, it's kind of pointless, I think, to go in there and start dredging just to have it filled back up again. I understand that the folks up there have created their own fund, and they're collecting money, or will be collecting money, collecting promises, I guess, right now, and setting up an account in the bank to deposit contributions from the homeowners along the Deer Creek North. Again, we're relying on this big contribution from the county, but the county's relying on its quarter-cent sales tax referendum being passed, and I think it's already failed 2 or 3 times. So if it passes, fine. If it doesn't pass, what will be the county's willingness to contribute 2/3 of the project?
Rudy, are you still here?
Yeah, can you repeat that a question again, or the last part?
The last
Sorry.
part was, as I understand it, the county is relying its contribution to come from the quarter-cent sales tax revenues. If that referendum fails again, will the county still be willing to come up with 2/3 the cost?
Yes, yeah. This project is committed. We're committed to this project. We've done projects at Homer's Point in a salter path. We're doing a big project in Atlantic Harbor in Atlantic. We've donated to East Towers Creek before, Morgan's Creek in county unincorporated area. So we've done a bunch of projects using the county's general fund.
Thank you.
And as a matter of fact, we have some other projects beyond the ones we're doing now, and also old ferry channel that are also being considered. And I would say they are more contingent on the 1/4% sales tax than the old ferry channel project is.
Anything else, Jim? All right, Commissioner Waters?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I am for moving forward with the extent of this project. Looking at what Zach said earlier, navigation of waterways to have a positive impact, property value, and to enhance recreation. Also, see what Commissioner Martin stated about the environmental issues. Well, good issue. So on the backside of this, let's look at this. Waterway is going to increase and other problems. Therefore, the town will receive revenue is revenue which will actually pay ourselves back. This project. So I would like to say out on this.
No?
I kind of echo what Commissioner Waters just said. I look at this, as Commissioner Martin said earlier, as an environmental issue also. I mean, something needs to be done there. And I think we're faced with a unique opportunity right here, financially wise, with the county putting up as much money as they're going to. We're not going to be faced with this every day. We're not doing something to the town is not doing anything to anyone's personal property. It's going to increase property values for homes around there, but we're not improving people's property for them. I mean, I think we'd all do something like that. But I think in a case like this, and yet, I don't think that it's going to, if we do this one, I mean, we've got to do every little canal that comes along. If the same opportunity comes along and the county is going to put up, 75, 80% of it, and the property owners are willing to put up their share, and it's going to be a good price in town, yes, then we could look at it. But no, it's not something we're going to go in and the town's going to take responsibility going forward that we're going to start doing all these canals. Now, I think it's an opportunity to look at, and I definitely think, as the motion was made, that we need to at least allow the town manager to go ahead and start making contact with these property owners and see if it is something that we're going to proceed with.
Okay. All right, with that said, we'll just put it to a vote then. I'll start with Commissioner Martin.
Mayor, I'm having a hard time hearing. Could you repeat that?
Yes, if there are any more comments, we're just going to go ahead and vote on the motion that was made to have the town manager reach out to the property owners and see if they're willing to participate.
And that includes, and we're talking about the Deer Creek or all property owners? What, Deer Creek property owners?
Deer Creek, Maine, and West.
Okay, I'm a yes. I'm a yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think you're probably going to need two motions, one for the Ferry Channel, the Connector Channel, and Deer Creek South, and perhaps a separate one. I think that from what I've heard, there's universal agreement for that. I think for the other things of the town manager reaching out to people on Deer Creek North and perhaps other people about that ought to be a separate motion. It would be a little easier to decide on.
The one that is the motion for right now is property along the Deer Creek, Maine, and the west to gauge interest in participating in the cost associated project. That's what we're talking about right now.
Okay, Mayor, in regards to the Deer Creek, Maine, if that's the motion on the table, I'm a yes.
Right. That's correct. That's what we're talking about.
I'm a yes, thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Kane?
No.
Commissioner Naylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Waters?
Yes.
And Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Okay, that's 4-1 in favor. So Zach, let's see what the people have to say, and then we'll go from there. And Rudy, I just want to thank you once again. I think you guys have done some awesome job, you and the county, putting all this together for us, and money well spent.
Okay, I appreciate you having me.
Thanks, Rudy. Thanks, Rudy.
Okay. See y'all soon.
Right. Okay, next up is a text amendment to section 75.05, subsection L of Cape Carteret Code of Ordinances, Act 6.
Alrighty. This is a follow-up from our previous meeting on July 13th regarding section 75.05 of the Cape Carteret Code of Ordinances. The following changes are requested to section 75.05 standards of operation. Under subsection C, we would strike the provision that says the operator must be a resident, property owner, authorized guest, or tenant of property with a physical address in the town. Under subsection D, it would change from reading passengers 15 years of age and younger to reading the driver and all passengers must be seated with a seatbelt properly fastened. Subsection L, regarding the hours of operation, the section that reads between official sunset and official sunrise would be struck from that section. And the requested action is for the Board of Commissioners to consider approving the proposed text amendment to section 75.05 of the Cape Carteret Code of Ordinances.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the proposed text amendment to section 75.05?
Move to approve the proposed amendment.
Sorry, Jim, I didn't hear you. Were you doing the motion?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was.
Okay, so Jim did it as well. You want a second?
Okay, second.
Say it. Second, okay. All right, so Mr. Taylor, sorry, it's a little delay in here. So Jim, I'm going to give you the credit for the motion and Commissioner Ward for the second. And now let's ask, is there any discussion? I'll start with Commissioner Ward.
Yeah, I have one question for our town attorney. Brett, have you read over this ordinance by chance or not?
Yes, sir. The changes look fine from a legal perspective.
Okay, that's my primary concern as always. Thank you.
Commissioner Naylor, any comments?
Yeah, I guess it's petty, but I notice it says you can't operate it after 11 o'clock. When can you start? Sunrise? 6 a.m.? 12 midnight?
Yeah, I thought about that too when I saw it, but I didn't know if I didn't want to add any more confusion to it.
Let the police figure it out.
We could add that provision in there.
I think it probably should be. I mean, if you're saying they can't be operated after a certain time, then obviously you've got to have a time when you can start.
So I guess
Any recommendations for times?
I don't know if the board would want to do, or if it could read, no golf cart may be operated on town streets or roads after 11 p.m. or before 6 a.m. or you say 7 a.m.
5 a.m.
I'll say 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
for one reason is because a lot of people use their golf carts to transport their fishing equipment to the ramps. A lot of, I don't own a golf cart, but I do leave the ramp pretty early when I go offshore. So I think 5 o'clock.
I say, do we even need to put a time limit in there? I mean, some people drive for work and they don't get off at 11 o'clock. Drive home. I have seen that in the past. So do we actually need a time limit on this?
That's a good point. Very good point.
You have front headlights.
If they got headlights.
Yeah, if they got headlights.
Drive.
So I want to we can add that to the motion to strike the 11 p.m.
Yes.
I'd be good with that also.
Okay, so we're going to strike the 11 p.m. Where did I leave off the comments?
Yeah, I mean, we allow cars on the roads 24/7, so.
Right, okay, so we'll add that to the motion. And, Mr. King, do you have any comments?
Yeah, the change there, this change allows the people over there in Hunting Bay that are just kind of, because of the way they divided up the towns, they drive on our streets. This allows that to happen. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that'd be correct. This would allow them to drive on the town streets.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Waters?
I think all, probably we need to do is just strike out the entire sentence, no golf cart may be operated on town streets or roads that, you know, just strike it out. So I'd like to make a motion that we amend this ordinance, strike that sentence out.
And accept the changes.
And accept the changes that's been made, on this section.
I'll second that.
So with that new motion, we'll just call for a vote unless anybody has any other discussion on it, those changes. All right, so the motion is to accept the changes that were presented and to strike the sentence where no golf cart may be operated on town streets and roads after 11 p.m. All in favor, I'll start once again with Commissioner Martin.
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Nails,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
and Commissioner Waters.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Next up is 126 Bay Shore right-of-way easement agreement. Zach.
William Hester, who is the property owner of the vacant lot located at 126 Bayshore Drive, recently installed stormwater piping in a junction box in the town's right-of-way in front of his property. Mr. Hester installed the stormwater system without first obtaining an encroachment agreement from the town of Cape Carteret. In conversations with Mr. Hester, he has expressed willingness to have an engineer sign off on the system. All encroachments within the town right-of-ways are required to obtain an encroachment agreement through the Board of Commissioners. The analysis would be, there are a couple of different approaches that could be utilized to address the encroachment agreement. The applicant could be required to remove the stormwater system and deny an encroachment agreement. Could require the applicant to remove the stormwater system and instruct them to work with an engineer to develop a plan to accompany an encroachment agreement application to be submitted to the Board of Commissioners for consideration at a future Board of Commissioners meeting. And then the third option could be that we allow the applicant to leave the stormwater system in place with a contingency that an engineer must review the configuration, sizing, and layout of the system and provide a report to the town indicating that the system will not have an adverse impact on the town's stormwater system or on adjacent property owners. If the engineer finds that the system has adverse impacts, then the encroachment agreement would be nullified. So the requested action is for the Board of Commissioners to consider whether to approve or deny the requested encroachment into the town's right-of-way and to provide direction to town staff on how to proceed. And on the screen is the application for the encroachment into the right-of-way. And there's also the illustration on the screen as well that shows the stormwater box that was installed, as well as the piping or culvert on either side. And there's also some additional culvert pipes on the property as well. So just seeking direction from the board on how to proceed and either approval or denial of the requested encroachment agreement into the town right-of-way.
All right, do we have
I
a
would-
motion for. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that we go with the third alternative, the contingent encroachment agreement. I think that would be the least disruptive.
Okay, so you're taking a motion for the third option.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm still reading and catching up myself. Is there a second for that? I have a second, Mr. Waters. Is there any discussion? I'll start with Commissioner Martin. Do you have anything?
Yes, this is the same scenario we faced a month ago. The homeowner installed a rather elaborate system in our ditch, like the other homeowner did, and to grant this one encroachment when we didn't, the other one would be not fair to the previous homeowner. It's basically the same thing. I would be leaning to go with the second one, which would have him remove it. And then, because this engineer is not going to know what he's buried in the ground. That's the bottom line. And, you know, Zach, I don't know if we discussed this or not, but there's other issues up above there where there's a stop work order issued. Thank goodness before the property owner went any further. I don't know if people don't understand they need a permit, or they just try to put it in and not obtain one. But not knowing what's buried, I think it's not fair to the previous homeowner last month when we denied the encroachment. So I would be in favor of the second one myself. So.
Mr. King.
First of all, that structure that he's got in there is right in the right of way. And the first time a heavy truck pushes across it, he's going to destroy it. We've got other places in town where we have grates and things that shouldn't be done. It should be a DOT approved, pre-stressed, reinforced thing. So that thing needs to come out. Second of all, I don't understand. He's got a pipe shown on that sketch. Where's he getting where's the water? This man put this in without a permit and without an encroachment agreement, and I don't think he's entitled to do that and then ask forgiveness. So I also agree that option 2, you got dots there, but the middle option, require him to remove the system and then work with an engineer to plan it. I have no issue with him piping to the street with stuff, but he needs to get permits and get that thing approved by a stormwater engineer before they go ahead. That's the right thing. And this man knows about the permitting system, because when he originally cleared that lot, I gave him permits for doing that work. So I agree with Commissioner Martin, and we're requiring the other man up on another project like this, very similar, to take his out. So I can't support the motion to leave it in there and have him get forgiveness and approval of it. And I don't think any engineer would approve it anyway.
Okay. Commissioner Miller?
Even if we went with the third one of leaving it in and having an engineer, they would still have to dig down. For the engineer to certify anything, he's going to have to dig down to where that pipe is. He's not going to be able to look at the ground or look at the drawing, I wouldn't think.
The only thing he could do would be to televise, in other words, camera up the pipe, but you wouldn't know how it was laid, it was done properly, the extent of the exterior integrity of that pipe as well, I would assume. Waters?
Go ahead, Mike.
I just had one other comment that I forgot to mention. On the pipe that's feeding that from his lot, I don't know that any elevation shots, when I looked at it, it didn't look to me like it was going to flow in the right direction. It almost looked to me like the flow would be from the box back to his lot. So that's why you have to engineer those things and shoot the elevations of those things to make sure everything's going to work. And I don't know that he's done that.
Mayor, I'd like to add one more thing also. I don't think it's fair for the town to do for one and not the other when it comes to these circumstances. Like I said before, there was a project issued a stop work order just right up the street from this. Thankfully, before he got too far involved, this one didn't get caught in time to do that, evidently. So we're setting a bad precedent if we allow one to bury one, and we force them to dig it up, and then allow this one to be buried. And I see a problem with that. It sets a bad precedent. We need to be uniform across the board when it comes to enforcing our ordinances. That's why those ordinances are there. Anytime they're violated, we need to deal with it, or the code enforcement officer needs to deal with it.
Commissioner Waters?
Question for Zach. Did the code enforcement officer observe this?
Couldn't hear the last part of that. If you could repeat it again.
Did the code enforcement officer, was he aware of this while this was going on, or even see any portions of this being implemented and take any type of action?
I'm not 100% sure. I know that we were contacted by a Bayshore resident about this project, and we were made aware in that fashion. But I do know that the code enforcement officer was very involved in the process as well, and letting them know that he needed to stop any further on that project. And then I had intervened on the other project that has a stop work order on it now. So, and just as a point of clarification, we're not doing anything different in this circumstance than we did in the prior circumstance. We did give them at the other project that was discussed last month, we gave them the opportunity to seek engineering and to provide us with something that was an engineer drawing that would be suitable to show us it didn't have an adverse impact on the stormwater system. And in that circumstance, they evidently opted not to go that route. So we did provide the same opportunity there for them to seek engineering. And then the other one that has a stop work order on it now, I believe the applicant's intention is to have that fully engineered and designed. And in that circumstance, it'll be done so prior to it being presented to the board for an encroachment agreement. So I guess it comes down to the different stages in the construction process of where these were stopped. But just wanted to put that out there as a clarification, that in all these circumstances, they're always encouraged to get an engineer to certify the design, to look at the flow, the velocity, how the volume is going to increase or decrease. Is it going to cause scouring? Is it going to cause adverse impacts to adjacent property owners? So in all those circumstances, we do require the same thing, but it's up to the applicant whether they choose to do that or not.
Make one more comment. The application was submitted after the project was completed.
That's correct.
Was any money paid for this project that we had done prior or afterwards?
Couldn't quite hear y'all on that again.
Are there any monies paid to the town in regards to the construction of this pipeline, to the drainage?
Any money that's paid?
Yeah, for permits or any penalty fees or any of that nature?
On this one we're discussing this evening, there's not been any penalties that have been levied at the present time. Typically try to give the opportunity for it to be considered by the board, and then give them the 15-day window to whatever action is taken this evening. It'd be the 15-day window to comply. If they're ordered to take it out, then they have 15 days to remove it. In other projects previously discussed, they didn't remove it within the 15 days, so they are being fined for each day that it continues to stay in the right of way. So there would be a penalty assessed if they don't remove it after 15 days.
So looking at this option number 3, where the agreement will be notified if the engineer did not approve this, so we would go back to option number 2.
Yeah, if the engineer could not sign off on the system, then what we would envision being the process is that they would have to remove the system at that point in time, because they wouldn't have an active encroachment agreement. So at that point in time, if the engineer won't sign off on it, they don't have an encroachment agreement, then we order them to remove it from the right of way, because it can't be certified, and they would have 15 days to do so. If they don't then they would start getting the daily fine assessed to them after that 15-day period if they don't remove it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm, you know, here's two items over there that's happened within this period of a few months. And, you know, all of this is coming to the Board of Commissioners for a blessing for something that very clearly requires a permit, a zoning permit from the town to even start, in which case the zoning permit would require this engineering to be done, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking about these things. And we recently put the zoning officer, is also a police officer. He has the opportunity now as he drives around to see these things, and hopefully maybe in the future we can prevent more of them by seeing them and stopping him and using from old Barney and the Andy Griffith Show, nip it in the bud before we have to sit here in front of this and go through all this stuff. But, well, I've said my piece.
Okay. Go ahead, Don.
I have one more thing for the town manager, and I know you mentioned it just a few minutes ago, and I think I understood what you said. The one we talked about last month, and the final decision on that was that he was going to be told to pull the pipe up and to go through the process if he wanted it done. What was the outcome? Was that pipe, was that one pulled up, or is it still in the ground?
That pipe is still in the ground and still in the right of way. We've tried to provide some leniency. It was supposed to have been done this past weekend. However, it was not done. So the fines have now started because it was not removed.
So I guess, and that kind of answers my question. The last one, we instructed him that he would have to pull it up. It had to be put in right. I mean, for him to do it. So I'm not sure that we could tell this one something different. I actually, when we first started looking at this, when I got the packet, I thought we were still talking about the same one, and I started looking back and realized that this is a different one, just right down the street.
Yeah, the applicant.
We've already told one.
Yeah, the applicant
we
on
told
the
first one to be pulled up and done correctly. I don't see how we could tell this one anything any different.
Yeah, the applicant on the first one opted to. They said they're going to remove it from the right of way, and then they're going to do something on their property, which I don't know that it's going to accomplish what they're wanting it to, but it's not going to be connected to the town's right of way at all. So that was their decision on that outcome, was that they would put something on their property that wouldn't be connected to our right of way. So that was sort of where that one went. So I guess it depends on what the property owner opts to do after the meeting, in terms of how they want to proceed.
Any other comments? Jim had the motion on to accept the number 3 one, unless Jim would like to alter his motion.
Well, not really, because like Zach said, the guy down at 200 was given the opportunity to have his homemade drainage system certified by an engineer, just like we're suggesting in this motion. But he declined that and was then told he had to yank it. So there's really no difference in the approach to the resident. If we're telling them both initially get the thing approved by an engineer, this guy says, no, I ain't going to do that, then okay, yank it. If he says, I'm going to do it, then I guess he's got a period of time to come in and show by an engineer's report that it's acceptable. And then we can go ahead and if it's a contingent encroachment agreement, then he's good to go, I guess. But it's not like we told the first guy he had to yank it without giving him the opportunity to have an engineer come in.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes, an engineer looks at a project before it's even started, not after it's completed, and gives the options to the homeowner. I don't see how an engineer can see what's under the ground, what's been buried, and I don't know. That's just my opinion.
So if that's the case, then he's not going to be able to provide us with one.
Maybe it's just the way the minutes were written up from last month, but what I'm looking at reading the minutes after we had the discussion on the other one is the motion was made to deny permit and ask for the pipe to be removed. That's what I'm seeing here. And did we do something different than that? What I'm seeing here from the minutes from last month is on the other incident, which was right down the street, that the final motion was to deny the permit. There's no mention in here about having an engineer check it and then him denying to do that. The motion was made to deny the permit and ask for it to be removed. That's why I asked the question I did.
Yeah, and I think the discussion, I think it was had before the prior meeting about the engineering, but I know it was had after that meeting as well, because in theory, if the encouragement agreement was denied, even if they did pull it out, whatever they're going to put back in has to have been engineered. But the property owner in that circumstance decided that they were just going to put the piping completely on their property and that they weren't going to put anything in the right of way. That was what their response was to that. So that was kind of, I know it was talked about before the meeting, but it was reemphasized following the meeting that if they wanted it to be in the right of way, and I think there's some leniency there. If they are willing to get an engineer to certify their work, then it's worth representing that item for consideration. But if they're not willing to do that and there's no openness to doing that, then that kind of that's on them, that they've got to pull it out, and whatever they put on their property it just can't have any impact on the right of way. Our concern would be if it had discharge at all on the right of way, that would still need engineering on that component. So.
My problem is this, Zach, we have ordinances in place, and there's a clear violation of the ordinance. And the mindset being, I will go ahead and do it. If I don't get caught, I'm fine. If I get caught, then I'm going to do things different. My take is we cannot do this different for this particular one that we did 5 houses up from it. There's a lot of neighbors paying attention to this process because they feel like their drainage is going to be compromised with that system. So I'll just go ahead and throw out. I've received multiple phone calls about that project.
More comments, discussion? And the motion that is on the table is to choose the third alternative. And I'll just start with you, Mr. Martin. Your vote.
When you say the third, there's no numbers on these. Which is the third? The bottom one?
The third dot, the one where we're going to allow him to get an engineer.
No.
Okay. Commissioner King.
No.
Commissioner Naylor.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
No.
And Commissioner Waters.
I would have to go on this, just to make this comment. I was like what they had done earlier when I seconded, I thought it was pertaining to the first one. So I'm going to say no on this and look at doing number 2.
Okay, so that motion fails 4-1. And would you like to make a motion to do the second one?
Sure, I'd like to make that motion that we go with the second bullet point, find out the stormwater system, and instruct them to get an engineer to prove it. Go back in and inquire the permits necessary to get this project done correctly.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Zach, and Zach, in your wording, remove stormwater system, what does that comprise of? Just the pipe, the drawing we're looking at and the basin he's constructed in the ditch?
Yeah, I mean,
Or the whole drainage, stormwater drainage system that he's put up there? You mentioned something about he may have put some more pipes or something. They're not, it's not in the drawing.
yeah, I mean, if those, because there may or may not be pipes that are on that property, I think, that have been mentioned. But anyways, I would say it applies to, in this circumstance,
Encroachment.
for the encroachment agreement, it would apply to what is in the right of way, the box, the pipes, all that would need to come out.
Okay, I just want clarification. I'm a yes on the second paragraph.
Any other comments? Go ahead and vote. Commissioner Martin, you want to say yes again? We'll make it official.
Yeah.
Okay, and Commissioner King
Yes on the second option.
and Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Nayless,
Yes.
and Commissioner Waters.
Yes.
So that motion carries 5-0. All right, next up is the appointment representative. And Zach, I'll just go ahead and say this. We had Mr. Curtis resign from that board, and I would like to nominate myself to take his place. All the other mayors are on that board, and they take turns chairing that board. And I just feel that our town should also have her as a representative. So if someone would nominate me, that'd be awesome.
Move to nominate,
Did somebody second the nomination?
I'm a little worried about that, Steve.
Well, I just found it, it just, no, I just it's kind of funny what your comment, it's just a little inside joke. Are we looking for a second to nominate, Will Baker? Is that what we're up here?
Yes.
I got my finger on the button here.
Well, go ahead, Don. You go ahead and do that.
Don second, so any discussion?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
If you'll recall, Mayor Baker, I nominated you to start with, and the rest of the board, I think, nominated Mike, which is fine. Mike's done a great job. He's great. Mike Curtis is not only with ILA, but he's done a great job, period, serving our town. So I think it's time for some new blood like you to get in there and see what you can do to represent us. I would ask this though. I've been on this board 3 years, and if we've ever been updated on anything that outfit over there has done, I haven't been made privy to it. So if you can keep the board updated on what's going on over there, I'll be very much appreciated.
Well, that's sort of my goal. That way somebody on this board is connected with that. And I can bring you a report after each meeting.
No, a lot of people don't think about the ILA in regards to the taxes that we pay that outfit over there. So we need good representation over there for a good number of reasons. So you got my vote reluctantly though. But you get no. I'm just kidding.
Any other comments?
Couple of comments, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Originally, the setup of that board over there required 2 representatives from each town, and one was the mayor. Okay, and the mayors rotated the running of the meeting around each year. So who's sitting on that? We haven't had anybody report to us on the ILA and since God, it seems like Jeremy Granger when he was on there.
Yeah, we still have one is Mrs. Kennedy or Kennedy. Did I say that right?
Cannon.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. This will be. I'm fine. So we got Vandy and also yourself as a second and also the mayor, and they're going to stick you with the leadership of that thing at one point in time.
We also have a county representative, Mark Harmon, I think. Is that correct, Jim?
County is Ken Lang.
Ken
County
Lang
rep.
and, yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other comments? If not, we'll just call a vote on it. I'll start with you, Commissioner Martin.
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Nails,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
and Commissioner Waters.
Yes.
I could see the reluctance in your eyes there, but thank you. All right, gentlemen. Last, not least, Commissioners' reports. I'm just going to go backwards, and anybody has anything they'd like to say? Jeff Waters.
Yes, y'all bear with me with some time on this one. First of all, I'd like to say I commend Zach with the seal in the town hall, the new seal behind me on the wall. I think was great.
Yeah.
It's looking good in here, and I look forward to seeing the new the town hall meeting room better and better. And thanks for those and the public works folks hard on trying to get this together. But I'd just like to bring back up the trail. I'd just like to read some stuff to you. I know this has been an issue at hand for several folks, those for the pros and those for the cons on this. But I really want to make this clear that I am not against the Cape Carteret Trail. I am simply in support of the original initiative set forth by the Alliance folks that started at the beginning. They call it Gateway Western Carteret Community Alliance. And I would just like to see them continue doing what they're doing for this trail. With that being said, I know on April 15, 2015, the publication on this was Cape Carteret residents can expect to pay $5 for motor vehicles starting in the 2015-16 fiscal year following action by the Board of Commissioners to approve a resolution ordinance with a 4-1 vote on Saturday. The item was one of several discussed by the board during the special meeting, annual retreat, and budget review at Town Hall. Part of motor vehicle tax will apply to any personal or business vehicles registered in town, and the fee will be collected along with this other motor vehicle taxes. The new fee will be included with town residents sending their motor vehicle taxes and monies for their vehicle tags. The town expects to net around $8,200 from this new tax in the coming fiscal year. The county will collect the funds and take a 3.2 to 3.4% cut on an estimated $300 the first year. All monies earned through this added tax will be used for future sidewalks, funds, or more specifically, the Cape Carteret Trail planned by the Gateway Western Carteret Community Alliance. This 3.1-mile bike trail is expected to be completed in 3 years and will then become town property. The Gateway Alliance is relying on town funds as well as fundraisers and private donations to fund the proposed path, which might cost around $1 million. The fee is permitted under the general statute that deals with motor vehicles, chapter 20-97-B states. During municipal vehicle tax, cities and towns may levy a tax of not more than $5 per year on any vehicle resident in the city or town that's received tax made by Commissioner Doreen Sanders, made a motion to approve the suggested fee, followed by second Commissioner Eddie Seegers. The original vote on 3 votes in favor of the action and 2 against it from Commissioner Minnie Truax and Richard Hunt. Truax hesitated on the original vote and asked a few more questions about the proposal. Town Clerk Karen Zorn reminded her that if she decided to not vote on the motion at all, it would be considered a yes. The board voted a second time and the vote passed 4-1 with Hunt against the idea. Hunt said that he was against the idea because he felt there was an ample surplus of money available in the town coffers, and it was necessary to be, this is the tax increase, he said. On May the 10th, 2015, Cape Carteret had a stream of students piled down the sidewalk between the shopping center and Cape Carteret and nearby White Oak Elementary School. Mike Curtis imagined the same scene on a larger scale. Cape Carteret has a stream of students piled, residents of all ages using a 3.1-mile asphalt marked use trail that will make a loop around town, linking neighborhood businesses, schools, and public services. Mr. Curtis said, I think we could be constructing portions of it by fall. The planned Cape Carteret Trail is headed into a design phase, and this week's gathering of about 200 parent students for the next walk to school there was a taste of what is yet to come. The path has been built between Lowe's Home Improvement Store and the school is just one piece of what is envisioned for the hike bike trail that would be close to the town from NC 24 to NC 58 to Taylor National. One more publication I'll read. This is August 26, 2017, 2 years later. With the recent completion of a segment along Highway 24 in front of White Oak Elementary School and anonymous donation to fund another segment along the same street, town officials are more optimistic about progress along the planned Cape Carteret Trail. Town ordinance require new development or major redevelopment made along major streets to include the construction of sidewalks so the Carteret County school system can get into a new portion of the path in front of the school, which has expanded over the summer to accommodate the growth. It looks great, Mayor Dave Fowler said Friday on the sidewalk, and I've already seen some people taking advantage of it. Next up is a segment from Lowe's to Schoolhouse Creek funded by the anonymous. Mayor Fowler said that he hopeful that will be finished by Christmas. Then the next step will be to build a section called Schoolhouse Creek farther west of Highway 24. The ultimate plan is a 2.8-mile triangular trail on highways 24 and 58 to Taylor National Road. It's modeled in part after the highly successful bike pedestrian path that runs on Highway 58 and down Frisco Road and Loaded Drive in Emerald Isle. But Emerald Isle has a much larger tax base. To fund construction, it has been more successful in obtaining grants and donations as well as raising thousands of dollars through a fundraising bicycle pedestrian path committee. Cape Carteret Town Administrator Zach Steffes said Friday that, like Mayor Fowler, he's pleased with the recent progress, but added that he and others are working hard to get grants from various sources to complete more segments. For example, here Mayor Fowler noted that PNC Bank has agreed to fund construction in front of this building, which I would add that PNC has not been sold. We knew all along that this would be a piecemeal project because we don't have the money to do it all at once, Mayor Fowler said. But I think the town commissioners, some of whom have been growing pessimistic about the project earlier this year, are feeling better about it and are so residents. Progress, especially in the most visible segment along heavily traveled Highway 24, is the best thing that could happen. The mayor said because people would become more enthusiastic. While it won't include the Highway 58 portion of the plan, it will at least give bikers, walkers, and runners a closed loop that they can enjoy separated from those busy highways until the full trail is available. I think we definitely moving in the right direction, said Mr. Steffes, who came aboard in March, long after the plan for the trail began several years ago. People are going to be able to see this all coming together. I think they've already going to start to get excited. Highway 24 portion is taking shape, and once that's done, I think we have some good grant opportunities, and Highway 58 piece will fall into place. And this was in 2017. Cost estimates for the whole project initially were $700,000, but town officials now hope to complete it or less, although the time frame is growing. Seeing this bond referendum to come in front of us, seeing that we're going to have 300, 500 people to decide how much the other 1,800 citizens are paying taxes, I'm sure it will not be well received. We have seen this tonight with many of the people, some in opposition about this, and there are concerns about why we should spend, even if it was to pass, $1 million the fitness trail, and simply not good enough. We have to include additional personnel to help maintain this trail with long equipment to help the workers involved. Now, with this trail, will the lights be involved? Will there be lights along the trail for night walking? Is that included in this cost? Will there be a pedestrian crosswalks, highly visible crosswalks, I might add, in place to ensure safe travel over major roads and highways, which I saw on the plan that this trail would not be around the triangle area. It would actually cross over Town Ocean Road twice, which would then put the pedestrians and walkers and bicyclists in a safety hazard. Not to mention in front of the Marine Federal Credit Union, there's a section that it went through there when it does, if it does. It would take halfway the parking lot, which would hurt that business. This particular increase of a tax is for the next 20 years. I think about this tax increase for 20 years, which will not include the standard tax increases that we will be seeing in the future for the priorities and needs of the town, such as our streets, our stormwater issues, and not to mention our debris that is left inside the road that needs to be picked up. I would love to see the town of Cape Carteret purchase a boom truck where we can continuously pick up storm debris on our streets and roadways, which gives a better image of our town being clean. And let's not forget the $42 million education bond referendum that will be coming up at the same time for the county, which will have impact on our taxes as well. And they do estimate a 2.22 cents tax order. So I'll ask the board, what are our priorities for the town of Cape Carteret? What are we setting in front of our folks that are living in this town? I will tell you mine is infrastructure, stormwater, and storm debris cleanup, and any other projects that are necessary. That's what priorities I feel like are needful in this town. I know that there will be other projects coming to our attention, such as come forth us tonight as the dredging. And it is going to benefit the citizens and save and or generate revenue for the town. So I'll just say this, let's just do the right thing and move forward in getting the needs of the town prioritized and getting them resolved quickly and soon. I feel certainly we all really need to get together, put our heads together, and say, what do we actually need for our town? We say, well, let's put a bond referendum, let people decide. People shouldn't have to worry about deciding on a bond referendum when we already know what the needs are for the town. That is our infrastructure. If you go out to build a house, you have to have a really good foundation to build that house. If you go to build that house on a good foundation, your house will fail. It will fail. It will crack. You can beautify this house, but unless you have a good foundation for your house, it will not survive. So therefore, my fellow commissioners, I ask of you to consider this bond referendum and let's move forward in prioritizing our needs for the town. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Miller.
I don't have anything to report. I just want to thank our town manager and all the town staff for everything they've been going through these past several months. It's public work, all the people working here in the hall. It's been some very trying times, and we're not at the end of it yet, and I just very much appreciate it.
Commissioner King?
Yeah, I'll save it for another time. With regard to the bond referendum, I've talked this with Zach, and they're requiring a 4% bond referendum. I haven't seen a municipal bond of any rating that's over 1.7 in the last 2 or 3 years. So I think that there's an opportunity, if this bond referendum does pass, that it would be significantly lower than 4%. Second, I want to thank Zach for making these virtual meetings easy for myself. I've taken this COVID stuff pretty seriously, and he has done that down the office, and I commend him for taking that. And I'll tell you, a week ago, my hair was longer than his. And I just managed to get a haircut the other day, and I look okay again. That's all I have, Mayor.
Mr. Naylor.
We have to come back Wednesday to vote on the bond issue. Is that right?
13th, yes. We got a 24-hour period left for more public input, and then the final nail goes in on the 13th.
The 13th is Thursday? I was under the impression it was Wednesday.
Thursday.
Oh, it's Thursday? Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday at 6 p.m.
Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, 13th.
And that's the point at which, that's the point at which we will actually vote on the bond.
Yes,
Referendum, yeah.
yeah, that's when the board will decide whether or not to place the bond referendum
the
issue on the ballot for November.
Okay. See you then.
Mark.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get into conversation about the bond referendum, but I do feel inclined to respond to Commissioner Waters' comments, which I heard very little of. I don't know if I'm having an audio problem, but I did hear the highlights. This issue is not about us as commissioners. It's about us as citizens having the right to vote for or against a bond referendum. I'm not going to tell the board or the public where I stand as far as what my vote's going to be as a citizen. The important thing for me is to give those citizens a right. Now, we listened to about 8 maybe people in person tonight in reference to the bond referendum, and a handful of letters that the mayor received. I don't want us to forget, we also received a from Deanna McElman that included, I think she stated 110 Cape Carteret residents in support of the trail. I think it needs to be decided in the voting booth. I myself don't think I have the right to deny a town citizen to vote on issues that's going to take their tax dollars. And that's all I'll say on that until Thursday. Zach, the following things I'm going to ask you. I'm getting calls about the status on the stop signs. Could you tell me what the status on those are?
Yeah, we ordered additional stop signs, so those have come in. And I believe those are on Public Works list to put them up. This week they're going to be working on those stormwater pipes, so I'm hoping next week they can get to it. But trying to get the Bogue Sound Drive and Yo Pond fixed before we get another storm come along and wash it out. But we do have the signs ordered, and the signs have come in. The stop signs have.
Okay. I don't know what the answer is, but I think we need to do a little better as a town, passing information along. I know we have Facebook and town website. I don't know what we could do unless, people are interested in what's going on here. Where we stand on the ditching and the hazardous tree removals and things of that nature. I don't know, maybe that's something you could give some thought to, Zach, if once you get settled in, tie it down from all you got going on. It is a concern of mine that the citizens need to know what we got going on. And, they'll say out of sight, out of mind. A lot of times people worry for no reason, but I think that's something we need to think about. And the last one is a biggie. I'm getting a lot of phone calls about the status of paving Lejeune Road. It's crumbling, as you know. And I think you and I had spoke briefly about patching, but is there anything you can say tonight about the status on paving that section down there or repairing that section?
Yeah, that's definitely also on Public Works list of projects. But like I said earlier, they're a little bit behind with everything we've gone through. So I'm hoping they can get out there maybe when they go to get the load of asphalt for Bogue Sound Drive, because they'll have to go up there and get a load for that. Maybe they can swing by there as well. They could get some extra asphalt, that way they can hit that spot. But yeah, it's just I know they're trying to play catch up right now, so I don't want to commit them to anything beyond what they're capable of doing. But they're doing stormwater this week, and then my goal would be in the next couple of weeks, hopefully they can get down there for that. But it's definitely on Alex's radar, just like the tree over there on Park that needs to be trimmed back. So and we've reached out about that other tree we discussed. So Nikki's supposed to be taking that down as well.
Okay. Well, once again, I want to thank you for all the hard work you did towards the kayak facility, Zach. I think it's going to be a great addition to the town. And in closing, I've got to echo Robert Tyndall. He's going to be missed. He's done more for this town than any one person that I know of. The things that he's given this town, the projects he's helped the town with, not to mention the generator. He's going to be missed. And I want to thank him and wish him well in his retirement. If you get a chance to talk to him, just give him my well wishes. And that's all I have.
All right, well, I'll try to keep it brief. I just once again want to thank Zach and the staff. It's amazing how much, we only have 3 guys, and there's so much to do around here, and it's amazing. And just like we have these hurricanes blow up, and they have to stop everything they're doing and take all this stuff down and move everything around, and then try to get back to normal, put everything back. It's we get a lot of bang for our buck for just having 3 guys, and I'm just very impressed with Public Works staff as well as our office staff. They're really doing a great job having to handle the people that are coming here with all these regulations we have to COVID. I can't wait till this is over and we can all get back to normalcy and have people in this boardroom. And I'm just tickled to death that tonight's a great example of where, this is what is America. We can sit here and we can have our differences and we can discuss these things, pro or con, whether you're for or against it, and we're doing it peacefully. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Thank you, as a board, for that, and thank you, staff, for helping us so much. And with that, I would love to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
King second.
All right, last roll call tonight. Don?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Miller? I'm sorry, Mr. Martin?
Yes. Good night.
Mr. Waters? Yes. And Mr. Nutt?
Yes.
Thank you all so much, and once again, thanks everybody that sent the letters and came to speak. I apologize for those that showed up. Probably we're going to have a regular soon, hopefully. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
You too.